Hello everyone, this is Laura for another valuable presentation into the trucking business. Today we're tackling something that is a huge headache for way too many carriers. What to do when a freight broker just doesn't pay you for a load you hauled. It's an awful situation to be in, but trust me, you have way more power than you might think. So let's just get right to it, the question that causes so much stress. You did the job, you delivered the load, you sent in your invoice, and then crickets. Nothing. What are you supposed to do now? Well, here's the good news. You are not powerless. You're not just left out in the cold. There is literally a safety net, one that's required by federal law, and it was created for this exact situation. We're going to show you exactly how to use it. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll touch on the problem itself. Then, we'll dive into your $75,000 safety net. After that, we'll give you a 5-step action plan, break down what makes a claim strong versus weak, and then what you can expect to happen next. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the broker problem. Before we get into the solution, let's just quickly frame the issues that get carriers like you into this mess in the first place. Do any of these sound painfully familiar? Maybe it's just a flat-out no pay, or an invoice that got shorted with some random deductions you never saw coming, or my favorite, the broker who just completely ghosts you the second you get that POD signed. If you're nodding along, you're in exactly the right place. And that brings us right to Section 2. We've talked about the problem, now let's get to the good part, the solution. And this is really the key to this whole explainer, because we're not just hoping you get your money, we're talking about a powerful tool that gives you real, actual leverage. $75,000. That is the magic number. And this isn't just some nice idea, it's the law. Every single licensed freight broker has to, I repeat, has to, keep this amount of money in a bond or a trust just to operate. Think of it as your payment insurance. And it is so important to understand what this actually is. This is not some general business insurance. It's a very specific thing, called a broker bond or a BMC 85 trust. And it exists for one main reason, to pay you, the carrier, when the broker doesn't. Simple as that. So, the big question is, how do you actually tap into that safety net? Well, that's what Section 3 is all about. We're going to give you a super simple 5-step action plan to help you cut through all the noise and get the money you earned. We're just going to walk through these 5 steps. It all starts with figuring out who's actually holding the money. Then, you put together a professional claim and you file it. And you see that last step, logging a complaint with the FMCSA? That is a big deal. It doesn't just help you, it puts that broker on the government's radar and helps clean up the industry for everybody. Okay, this next step, think of it like building an open and shut case. Every single piece of paper tells part of the story. The rate con proves what you agreed to, the POD proves you did the job. When you have all this stuff organized and ready to go, your claim becomes professional and pretty much impossible to deny. Now you might be thinking, that's great, but how in the world do I find out who this surety company is? Well, guess what? The government makes it super easy. It's all public information. A quick search in the FMCSA's online database and you'll have the exact name and contact info you need. No secrets. Let's move on to Section 4, and this is a really critical detail you need to know. This bond doesn't cover every little dispute you might have with a broker. The rules are actually pretty specific, so let's break down what makes a claim valid. Here's the bottom line. Let's keep it simple. The bond is there to pay you for hauling freight. That means the line haul, any accessorials like detention that you both agreed on, and any of those unauthorized deductions. What it's not for are things like cargo claims or other kinds of business disagreements. It's all about the freight charges. All right, you did it. You found the surety, you put your packet together, and you sent in your claim. So, now what? What should you expect to happen? This timeline here is to give you some realistic expectations. First, the surety company, the one holding the money, is going to investigate to make sure your claim is legit. If it's approved, you get paid. Now, you see that little note on pro rata? All that means is if a broker owes a ton of money to a lot of carriers and the claims add up to more than 75 grand, the money gets split up fairly among everyone. And to make this whole thing even easier, here you go. A simple professional email template that you can literally copy, paste, and adapt. It's short, it's to the point, it states the facts, and it tells them what you've attached. That's really all you need to get the ball rolling. So here it is, the main takeaway from all of this. This entire system, The bond, the public records, the claim process, it all exists to have your back. It's there to make sure one very simple, very fair thing happens. You did the work, so you get paid. Period. And we're going to leave you with this final thought. Being prepared is always your best defense. So what's one little thing you could start doing today to make sure you're ready if this ever happens to you? Maybe it's just making sure you always get a clean signed Raycon. Whatever it is, think about what you can do to protect your business tomorrow.